מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא אכסר, בינו דשא ירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינהלני. נפשי ישובב, ינחני במגלי צדק למען שמו. גם כי אלק וגצל מוות, לא ידע רק אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד שורדי. דשנת בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה, אך טוב וחסד ידפוני כל ימי חיי. ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. The 23rd Psalm. Psalm of David. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want, giving me repose in green meadows, leading me beside the still waters to revive my spirit, guiding me on the right path, for that is God's essence. Though I walk through a valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod comfort me. You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever. So thank you all for coming out here today to say goodbye, to pay our respects to Beth Schachter of blessed memory. Elisheva Leah Bat Chaim Iser Uri Veshoshana Zichrona Livracha. And today we extend our condolences to her mother, Marie Barrett, her father, Harley Schachter, and also to Roxana Tarim Pichet. To her siblings, Jeffrey Schachter and Ilan Marchenko, and Daniel Schachter and Melissa Poron. Elizabeth passed away suddenly after a long struggle with mental health issues. On May 19th, at the age of 25, leaving us heartbroken and with lots of questions that may never be answered. Pirkei Avot is among the most well-known of all writings in Rabbinic Judaism. Pirkei Avot is so named because it contains the sayings of the first fathers of Judaism. The statements attributed to the rabbis in Pirkei Avot express the basic concerns and central ideas that occupied the rabbis. For example, study becomes a religious act. Another example, the Torah becomes a text to be constantly studied. Another one, the reflection of past Torah study become an important link from one generation to the next. And Torah and its commentary become the literature that mirrors and shapes all Jewish experience. That's why throughout Jewish history, Different communities adopted different practices for the reading and studying of Pirkei Avot, but they all agree we should go and find inspiration in Pirkei Avot when we go through difficult times. And I would like to share with you a statement from Pirkei Avot, chapter 2, statement number 5. It reads as follows. Rabbi Hillel says, do not judge your fellow human being until you stand in his situation. The Talmud in Tractate Sanhedrin, page 102b, relates that King Menashe of Judah, one of Israel's most notorious rulers, remembered as an idolater and evildoer, appeared to Rav Ashi in a dream and interpreted for him a difficult passage regarding Jewish law. Surprised by King Menashe's Torah knowledge, Rav Ashi asked him, why a man as wise as he was will lower himself to idolatry? To which King Menashe answered, had you been there, you would have lifted your robe and run even faster than me to idols. In other words, what the Talmud is trying to teach is that until we find ourselves in the same time, place, and circumstances, it is realistically impossible to judge a person. Therefore, judgment of others should always be tempered and cautious, if not completely withheld. I had the privilege to know Beth when we worked together to prepare her bat mitzvah back in October 2004. I remember her beautiful voice, her kindness, her politeness, very uncommon among 12 years olds. Believe me on that one. She prepared and davened beautiful mincha service. She read all her Torah readings from Parshat Chayei Sarah and taught us all about the content of her Haftorah and showed us all that for her, the bat mitzvah was not just a performance. And that's why she donated her long hair to make wigs for cancer patients. That kindness and sensitivity to other people's needs accompanied Beth for her whole life. And I was glad to discover that not only Beth's traits of character didn't change after her bat mitzvah, but also her connection to Jewish music didn't stop with it. Continuing on the Sarah Sommer High Folk Ensemble for several years, where I had the chance to enjoy her beautiful voice once again after so many years when Chai and Shaarey Zedek worked together to celebrate Shaarey Zedek's 125th anniversary and Chai's 50th anniversary. Every time we chant the Kaddish, we say about God, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. God is beyond blessing and song, and yet, nevertheless, we bless and sing to God. In the same way, I was thinking about Beth's death. What can we say when there are no words? And yet, nevertheless, we write eulogies to try to make sense of what happened and try to find comfort through words. So to engage in that process, I would like to invite Marie and Jeffrey to come forward to eulogize Beth.
Elizabeth was born in 1992. When she was 4, she was given the choice of what she wanted to be called at school, Elizabeth or Beth. She chose Beth. More recently, she chose to go by Elizabeth again, I believe to reinvent herself. She was quite particular about her name. Above all, she hated being called Lizzie. One time, she came home from school crying that the nursery teacher had called her a name. She called me Betharoo, and she just sobbed. But after learning that it was in fact a term of endearment like being called sweetheart, she was okay with it. Beth did not like change. While she was quite content to play ringette with kids 2 years older than her, the suggestion of moving from defense to offense caused a small meltdown in the dressing room. She was only 5, so she would remain on defense that game, but at the next practice, she was given instructions on how to play forward, and at the next game enthusiastically played without further issue. She was like that. Provide her with forewarning and structure, and she would be able to do pretty much anything. Beth was brave. She felt fear, surely, but what was special was how she handled it. When she was starting grade 1, she was scared. She was given a paper cutout heart that said, "Mommy loves Beth," and that she could pull out of her pocket and read anytime she felt scared. Although she wore it out the first day and got a new one for the second day, Beth never needed a third. She was a long-time BB camper, but for her first year, she went a year earlier than the girls in her classroom. She wanted to go to camp. She went knowing no other girls from her class in school would be there, and also knowing there would be bugs. But she persevered and was so proud of herself when she came back home. Beth liked to be secretly amazing. By that, I mean she was capable of great things, but didn't always like to be in the spotlight. Beth's first performance with High was at the age of 7. She had to pretend like she was being afraid of being splashed by water, and was so convincing she got the approval of the guest choreographer, Shai Gottsman, whose praise is notoriously hard to obtain. As we know, Beth liked to have structure in her life. So her High story continued at the age of 14, when she was the go-to helper for Eva Golden, Will Brooker, Margaret Kasner, and I. Beth was the High Folk Ensemble's costume department's unofficial apprentice. She would do everything from searching for ancient costumes to fixing the sewing machine. She was the only one who could change the thread on the bobbin. She happily continued to be the unofficial costume apprentice, some might argue indentured servant, while she was performing as a singer herself. She was a talented singer and had a beautiful voice. Her music started off when she was in ORF, a music and movement program for children. She continued with the High School of Performing Arts, where she met her teacher, mentor, and friend, David Vamus. He recognized her vocal potential, but also recognized how uncertain she was. The first big hurdle was getting Elizabeth's lovely voice to be heard. Instead of stepping forward and being heard, she would take a step back from the microphone when it was her turn, even though she sounded fantastic. As a parent, you pick your battles. I let Vamus handle it. Luckily, he did. We had the joy of listening to numerous High performances with Beth's sweet voice that added strength and emotion to pieces. Elizabeth had a passion for science and education. Elizabeth's university professors recognized her brilliance and suggested that she should continue on to get her PhD in theoretical physics. But her passion for educating others was more important to her, and she wanted to teach high school. She embraced this calling and was teaching at Maples Collegiate. She found ways to make high school math a class to be enjoyed. Her gift for educating others was unique, and her students on numerous occasions have demonstrated sincere warmth and overwhelming support for her.
Elizabeth was always generous. She worked so hard to make the world a better place, and she found joy in helping others. Even from an early age, she was selfless. She would grow her hair out so that it would be cut to make wigs for patients with cancer. She volunteered her time as a peer tutor and carried on helping others improve their math and physics skills. She was also the person who had an extra pair of skate laces, extra Band-Aids, and a MacGyver-like assortment of supplies that she, being the responsible and prepared one, was happy to lend out to be helpful. She also adopted a rescue dog. Doggus, as he is named, was originally from a family in Churchill who no longer had the ability to feed him. Even though he was older and in suboptimal health, she gave him a home and companionship. If you give someone a loaf of bread, they'll eat for a day. If you teach someone to bake, they will eat for a lifetime. Now, Beth already knew how to bake, but if you had given Beth an industrial oven, she probably would have ended world hunger. She was an avid learner. She was able to teach herself anything she set her mind to, from coding to violin and even to picking locks. She was incredibly intelligent and was always in search for truths. Along her journey, she eventually found comfort in faith. One of her truths was to distill from 10 commandments of varying degrees of relevance to today's society the single principle of loving others and being kind. Elizabeth was ill. She was ill in a way many of us cannot understand. Hers was an illness that caused severe emotional pain, which to her had no end. Even as she battled to get better and endured her pain, she brought love and light into the world. She made the world a better place, and for this I know we are all grateful. Whether it was through her charitable works or her educational achievements, she selflessly brought joy to others. Because of her illness, she was unable to see in herself the greatness that others saw in her. She had difficulty letting people in, and she had difficulty experiencing that same joy that she brought to others. To put a name to it, she had borderline personality disorder coupled with depression and anxiety. But Elizabeth was so much more. She was a daughter, a sister, a niece, a cousin, and a friend. She was a singer, an athlete, a teacher, and a mentor. Beth, Elizabeth, we love you very much and we miss you. A piece of our hearts will go with you, and we hope that you are at peace. Lastly, I do want to take the opportunity to thank our family and friends, Elizabeth's family and friends, for their love and support. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Jeffrey, for your courage to share those words with us. And may the memory of Elizabeth bring comfort to our souls and to our lives. In Exodus chapter 33, Moses said to God, "Show me now your ways. Show me now your glory." In other words, Moses was asking God to let him know why things happen the way they happen. But God said to Moses, "You cannot see my face, for no one may see me and live." In other words, we can't understand God's ways in this world. Why evil people prosper? Why good people have to suffer? Why Beth left us so soon? Those answers are reserved for the world to come, for the afterlife, when we will see God's face. Unfortunately, until that time comes, we are left with the mysteriousness of life. The answers we are looking for are ultimately known only by God. Beth was a wonderful and precious gift from God to Marie, to Harley and Roxana, to Jeff and Ilan, to Daniel and Melissa, and to all of us. Most importantly, she will always be that gift. Her physical absence won't change that. Please rise for the El Malel Rahamim prayer. אל מלא רחמים, שוכם במרומים. המצא מנוחה נכונה, תחת כנפי השכינה, ומעלות קדושים, קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים. את נשמת אלישב עליה, ורחי מסרורי ושושנה, שעליך לעולמה. בעבור שאנו מתפללים, ועד הצקרת נשמתה, בגן עדן, בגן עדן תהי מנוחתה, לכם בעל הרחמים. אז תראה וסדר כנפיו לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים, החיים את נשמתה. אדוני ונחלתה, ותנוח ושלום על משכבה, ונאמר amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Elizabeth Schachter, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated. In a few minutes, we are going to proceed in caravan fashion to the Shaarey Zedek Cemetery, located in the corner of Armstrong and Main Street. We recommend you to follow us in caravan fashion, and if you are doing that, please remember to turn on your four-way flashers to recognize, to mark your car as part of the procession. Immediately after burial, we are going to proceed directly with the Shiva that is going to be observed at Mary's home at 553 Waverly Street. Again, 553 Waverly Street, immediately after burial. My calculation is going to be around 5-ish, that everybody's invited to the house. So today, the family will receive visits from 5 to 9 p.m. Tomorrow, from 2 to 4 p.m. and 7 to 9 p.m. And remember, tonight and tomorrow night at 7 p.m., the service is going to be chanted on Beth's memories at the house. And then also on Friday, it's not going to be a service, just visits from 2 to 4 p.m. So let me repeat this. Today, 5 to 9. Tomorrow, 2 to 4 and 7 to 9. And Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. with the services being chanted tonight and tomorrow night at 7 p.m. at the house, 553 Waverly Street. Donations on Beth's memory could be made to Elizabeth Schachter Bat Mitzvah Fund at the Jewish Foundation of Manitoba. Now the tradition we have is after we exit the sanctuary, we form 2 rows outside of the building through which the coffin can find its way into the hearse. But first, we invite the pallbearers to exit the sanctuary now to assume their place alongside the coffin. The family exits now, and you're invited to proceed directly to your transportation. And for the rest of us, we are going to wait here at the sanctuary until we get the okay from our funeral director in the back of the sanctuary. It's going to take a few minutes. We can wait a few minutes until the family is already inside the vehicles that will be assigned to leave to exit the sanctuary. Okay, we can go now. Thank you all for coming.